We're currently in the dining room of the Kemper Log Home of 1804. It originally stood in Walnut Hills. The Kempers moved to Cincinnati in 1791, shortly after the defeat of St. Clair up north near present-day Fort Recovery, Ohio. As that army was limping back, Reverend James Kemper, the first ordained Presbyterian minister north of the Ohio River, was beginning his life with his family here, his growing family. He was tasked with trying to get people to remain in Cincinnati after this massacre of the United States Army. Many settlers were ready to flee. He was instrumental in getting the settlers to remain here on site. When they first arrived, they lived downtown around 4th Street in another log home, but they soon outgrew that, and James bought large acreage in what is now Walnut Hills. In fact, the Kemper family were the first residents of Walnut Hills. In 1793, they built a military-style blockhouse, and he moved his 11 children out to that blockhouse. And for the next 11 years, he spent his time either at the blockhouse, preaching down at many of the Presbyterian churches he started in Southwest Ohio, in Kentucky, and up in Butler and Warren counties. As you can see, we have steeple notching here for our log home. It's a log home, which is essentially 2 log cabins pinned together with an upstairs on each side. Now, the steeple notching is indicative of the fact that this was weatherboarded, or what we would call today sided, pretty quickly after construction. We know this through, one, the architectural evidence here with the steeple notching, but also that Judith Kemper, James's wife, was from a well-to-do Virginia planter family, as was James, although not as well-to-do as Judith's family. And being that genteel, they would have tried to have kept things as genteel in their lifestyle out here in the wilderness as well. He would have been very conscious of keeping Judith within the social class and the living style that came with that social class, even out here. By 1804, James Kemper was really getting towards retirement. He had started numerous churches in Southwest Ohio. He had moved around as a missionary, and his family has grown to 14 children, with another one on the way. So in 1804, we see the Kemper family really putting their permanent roots down in Walnut Hills. They're out of the blockhouse and constructing this home. On June 4th, 1804, the home was completed and they moved in. Later that night, Mrs. Kemper gave birth to their last child, their 15th child, Charles. The wonderful thing about the Kemper family is all 15 children lived to adulthood, and Judith survived all the childbirths. It was truly kind of a wonder of medicine at the time. For the rest of his days, James would spend his time here, and he would do substitute work as a preacher within the Presbyterian churches, and he would also still go back to the presbytery for meetings back east. James Kemper went into semi-retirement upon around 1804, upon a return back to Walnut Hills, where he would fill in for pastors who were elsewhere at the time. He would take up the pulpit for them, and he would enjoy his time farming up here on Walnut Hill, as it was called then. We changed it later to Walnut Hills. By the early 1980s, it had become very apparent that the Cincinnati Zoo was not the right place for the Kemper Log Home. So the colonial dames of Ohio worked with Heritage Village in historic Southwest Ohio, and a move was made. In the early 1980s, the top portion of the Kemper home was dismantled from the bottom. It was put onto a truck, and it was driven here and reset on the foundation we had here, put back together. Actually, your interpretation was changed. It's much different than it was at the zoo. We feel we have a more accurate, based on family journals and family remembrances, and we have an accurate interpretation of the home, both how it stood and how it was furnished inside. By 1983, it was open to the public, and it has enjoyed many a visitor coming in to see what early Cincinnati history would have looked like as far as day-to-day living. We enjoy a very good relationship with the descendants of James Kemper. Most of the time, I would say yearly, we have new descendants that come and visit who want to see the old homestead. We enjoy such a great relationship with them that they actually will provide us with documentation of family records, the actual artifact family records themselves, and other artifacts. We were graciously received a parlor grand piano that is a Kemper artifact heirloom. Obviously, it's from the 1870s, so it would not fit in a log home, but it works very well with exhibition in our Elk House. But that is the kind of relationship we enjoy, that we can work with the family in such a way.